Omar Barada's start date confirmed. United still in for Dougie Freedman to come in and join recruitment. Ashworth could take action with Newcastle to force a Manchester United move through. Transfers on Frimpong and Elise getting a bit of a boost in regards to United. Bit of news on Todibo and Lindelof expected to leave. Thomas Tuchel to United. David Ornstein has confirmed a little bit of interest there. Bruno shows his teammates how to act after his heroics at Coventry, and Ten Hag hits back. Ten Hag has labelled the press as disrespectful, out of line, and he hits back at the press and the media that have been on him since day dot. But let's dive into the first story about the takeover, about the staff at United. It was said that Omar Barada will complete his gardening leave and begin work as Manchester United's new CEO in mid-July. Now, Omar Barada, I wish he could come in earlier because he's so good and he'd be so helpful, but he is set to come in mid-July. It was also said that Dan Ashworth is now set to take Newcastle to arbitration to help facilitate his move to Manchester United. It was also said on Ashworth that Newcastle was seeking as much as 20 million compensation, but United are unwilling to meet that well for obvious reasons, and it's now on course to be decided by a third party. I think Newcastle's unreasonable demands would mean that United and Ashworth probably win that dispute as well. So we've got obviously Wilcox who's in, Omar Barada who's coming in July, and of course Dan Ashworth on the way a little bit later on. Will it be the summer? It might be after the summer, but there could be some kind of third-party agreement maybe in June to push the deal along. Now, I want to talk about Dougie Freedman because while out Ashworth, Wilcox and Barada is great, Manchester United definitely need that extra name in recruitment, and Dougie Freedman would be cherry on top. He's like Paul Mitchell, fantastic in recruitment. Adam Wharton's one he's picked up recently, looking good for Crystal Palace. Glasgow coming in. Crystal Palace look like a new side the second half of the season. Elise Eze, some of his championship hits. Gay. I think in recruitment, I'd like a Paul Mitchell or Dougie Freedman to come in. We have the link to Julian Ward, but I think Dougie Freedman's a better option. But Newcastle are looking at him to replace Dan Ashworth for obvious reasons. Now, Ineos want him, but they want him as head of recruitment, and sporting director is a bigger role than head of recruitment. He will get a sporting director role at Newcastle. He's a sporting director at Crystal Palace. I don't know if you'd want to come to United and be head of recruitment. That was sort of the situation there with Paul Mitchell as well. Like, Paul Mitchell was great, but he wanted a bigger role. He wanted to be sporting director, and we've given that to, of course, Dan Ashworth. Make sure you hit that like button, guys, and of course subscribe down below if you're new. Do apologise if there's a bit of lag here and there, but I want to get through all this news in 10 minutes for you guys. This is the transfer front. Jeremy Frimpong, financials advisor, has opened a property company based in Manchester. Incorporation date was April 24th. A source says there's a real possibility that Frimpong will join Manchester United this summer. So Frimpong to United is definitely heating up at the moment. Decent sources of information saying United are interested. He'd be interested in the move. He wants to go back to the Premier League. He obviously used to live in Manchester. 40 million pound, really good deal there. Obviously, United are looking at the possibility of course, bringing in a fullback, and I think Jeremy Frimpong would probably be, one of the first names at right back. United would have to adapt the system and make a lot of changes, but he's one of those players that's probably worth adapting to, and I guess you can always have the lowest left back depth if you do bring in Frimpong, because it's said that United would prioritise a left back over a right back. I think if Wan-Bissaka goes, and this is someone United make a move for, I wouldn't be surprised if Man United make a move for Elise. We know that they really do want Elise, who would be open to United move this summer if Man United are genuinely interested in him. We know Elise is a massive United fan, and I think with Elise, if we want him, he's open to the move. It then depends on the price, which is reportedly to be 50 to 60 million pounds, and Palace will sell, but I don't think United would want to spend more than 60 million pounds with his injury record. Like, he's a baller. I guarantee you Elise moves to a big club this summer, but I don't think United will want to overspend too much on that. I think if we really want Elise, I reckon we can get him because he's a Man United fan and will apparently choose us over other top clubs. If we really want Todibo, I think we'll get Todibo because of the relationship with Nice. I think if we really want from Frimpong, there's a chance, but I'm not going to get too carried away, even though there's a lot of good sources reporting Frimpong to United these last few days, just because I don't know if we're really going to prioritise that position. Like, I think long-term we need a right-back, but because Delo's been one of our best players this season, whereas we've had no centre-backs and midfielders, and we obviously need another winger, I don't know if right-back gets prioritised, and maybe Frimpong's one that maybe had it been next season we go for, a bit like Jao Neves, but I don't know if we're in a position to prioritise that position or spend that amount of money on one player. Now, one player that Man United should sell, in my opinion, is Lindelof. 1 year left on his contract. lowest wage, should be somewhat easy to sell, and he's now Galatasaray's top defensive target this summer. They're determined to sign him, and I would sell Lindelof. I'd see if we can get 15 to 20 mil for him. I'd sell Lindelof if I had to sell a centre-back. I'd rather have Maguire play next season, as one, he's been more available, and two, he's been better than Lindelof. Although Maguire's on bigger wages, and I understand why you might want to ship Maguire out first, but I do actually think that he's better than Lindelof, and I would personally don't think Lindelof's good enough. He's not been available enough. I would ship out Victor Lindelof this summer. Now, I want to get into the Thomas Tuchel news, as a lot of news surrounding Thomas Tuchel has been going about at the moment. And obviously, it's really being pushed probably from Thomas Tuchel's side because he probably wants the move. Now, we don't know if Ten Hag will be here or not next season. So our possibility of going for Tuchel massively depends on what decision is made on Ten Hag. Some suggest the decision's been made and he will go. But one thing we do know is Thomas Tuchel's open to United. It was said by CFC Bayern that Thomas Tuchel has no intention of staying at Bayern Munich beyond this summer. The manager has accepted the club's decision, and it is said from his entourage that he's had enough. Tuchel wants to return to England and is being discussed by United. Now, Bayern made this decision to let go of Tuchel, and then Bayern is sort of now going back on that decision, suggesting he stays. A bit like Barcelona and Xavi. Maybe because Amorim and Alonso aren't available and all the good managers have dried up, maybe teams are going back on their decision. I'm not sure, but it's said as well by David Ornstein, and David Ornstein's one of the best sources, that you know. And when David Ornstein, we often have to take a lot of information with a pinch of salt. We're always linked to this person, that person at United. But when you get a bit of a story from someone like David Ornstein or Fabrizio Romano, it's finally a story that you can take, seriously and go, okay, this is what we know. And David Ornstein is saying that Thomas Tuchel would be interested in being the next United manager if the job becomes vacant. Now, he does mention that if the job becomes vacant, but I think it's very clear that Thomas Tuchel would be open to being the next Manchester United manager. And I think he's someone that Ineos are likely looking at if, obviously, Ten Hag is sacked. But let's dive into the story on Ten Hag. Talking of Ten Hag, he was furious with the press. It was said by Mike McGrath. Erik Ten Hag refused to take questions from a number of journalists who were critical of him during Manchester United's semi-final. He has felt some of the opinions and reporting of his future have crossed the line and believes it to be disrespectful. And you know what? Fair play to Ten Hag for this. Fair bloody play. Because Erik Ten Hag, whether you like him or not, the media have been on him since day dot. The media have been forcing him out since day dot. They've been against him. They wanted Poch. And Erik Ten Hag said, you know what? All you keep doing is reporting nonsense stories that I'm going and a decision's been made and Ineos are doing this and that. And actually, I think a lot of the press are making it up because they need something to talk about. They need clicks. They just go with the flow. Oh, Man United have lost, so let's write a story that Ten Hag's sacked because that will get interactions because it fits the mood. And Ten Hag, with certain journalists, who said, all you do is write about me going. All you do is write about me negatively. You want me out. You want me gone. You write about it. I find it disrespectful. I'm not answering your questions. And I respect that because whether you like Ten Hag or not, whether you're Ten Hag in or Ten Hag out, I think we can all admit that the press has had a bit of an agenda against them. The leaks that they put out as soon as we lose, they've been turning them since day dot. They want him gone. And Ten Hag just said, you know what, I'm going to ignore those journalists that are overly critical of me. And I understand being critical of Ten Hag, but some of these journalists are just on Ten Hag's case. Never the players' fault, always Ten Hag's fault, according to certain journalists. Which brings me into my final story about one player that some fans think is the problem. Some fans say they get rid of, and that player is Bruno Fernandes, who for me is one of the few players' attitudes I won't fault. I've had comments saying Bruno's got a bad attitude, get him out. Okay, he whinges, he moans, he gives the ball away, he's inconsistent. But you cannot doubt Bruno Fernandes' attitude. You cannot doubt that Bruno Fernandes is an absolute warrior. Bruno Fernandes broke his right hand against Coventry but insisted on playing against Sheffield United. He was playing with broken bones. He went into extra time against Liverpool with practically one leg playing centre-back and couldn't walk. He went into extra time against Coventry with a broken hand and he scored the winning goal. Not the winning goal, sorry, a penalty that helped us win. Bruno Fernandes, he saw we're up against it versus Coventry. He wanted to get to that final. He is an example to his teammates. He gives everything. He's always available. He plays with a broken hand. He gives everything for this club. He fights for this club. He works hard for this club. Yet some fans give him so much disrespect. We can criticise some of Bruno's performances. He's inconsistent. At times we expect more from him. But he is one of the few players in this club that has the right attitude, that has got the quality to build around. He is a professional, he's a warrior, and he deserves a lot more respect from this fan base. And his gesture was well received within the club, where he's seen as resilient and an inspiring leader. And that's also another good thing, because there's one thing being the captain of United, but you've got to be respected by your teammates. And I think that's an example to his teammates. Okay, Bruno did that. I'm going to respect that as well. But listen, people, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks if you're new. That is your Man United news roundup in 10 minutes. Thank you for watching. Bye.